going on, guys? How is everyone doing? Seems like we only have one person in here. Um, three people. I don't know if everyone's just busy. Um, but I wanted to start these streams earlier on the weekend, so people have their Sunday night free. Plus, this is recorded, so I guess anyone could watch it whenever they're free on Sunday. But let's get some activity in the chat here. If you're able to drop a comment. What's up, William? How are you? How was your weekend? Looks like we're gonna have a small group today. Need to change the screen. Give me a second. There we go. On the way to play a money game golf. That's so funny. Oh, so you're just listening? That's dedication right there, William. Good for you. Let's get some activity from some other people in the chat before we get started. What's up, Dudley? How you doing, man? All right, let's just we'll get it going. So, SPY, right? I know a lot of people were bearish right towards the end of the week. I mean, we saw multiple down days this week. What's up, Chris? What's up, Mohammed? Yeah, so I know multiple people, or the general market sentiment, people were bearish. But if we take a look at the 5 day chart or the weekly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm not too worried whatsoever, right? We're still in an uptrend, right? We didn't break the uptrend, right? I have this parallel channel drawn here, and what's up, Chase? Yeah, I'm doing well, Dudley. Thank you for asking. Um, but yeah, there's nothing to worry about here until we break out of this green, right? So using the bull trade cloud, right? Until this cloud becomes red, like it is here, I'm not worried, right? So that would take a pretty big drop if we turn bearish here. But for now, right, going to continue playing to the upside, right? Because we're in an overall uptrend, right? We're from the bottom left corner to the upper right, right? That's a clear uptrend. Same with the Qs, right? Same thing. Until this becomes red, I'll continue to be aggressive on the upside. And IWM, I mean, we've just been consolidating for so long now, since about January of this year. So we've been moving straight sideways. So this should result in a pretty explosive move whenever we do get that move. Um, but we just keep moving sideways here. MACD, right? It's super oversold. Um, this looks ready to start moving back to the upside. So hopefully we start to get a move to the upside. Now let's get to the charts. Does anyone have any questions on any specific tickers first? You love the mic. Is it clear? It's a pretty expensive mic that I got. But Tesla, I think Tesla's on the watch list every single week. Right, it's got to be. It's like one of the most watched tickers besides SPY. But this trend line has been intact for so long now. Right, we're just going to continue to play it. Clear as a whistle, perfect. But it does look like we're forming a rising bearish wedge. But my entry is that 764.45 level, right? That previous resistance here. It was an old support. It was an old resistance. We rejected here as well. So this 760, we could just make it simple. 765 over 765. We should see a move to 780. Let's see what the smaller time frame looks like. Right, so even on the smaller time frame, this kind of looks like a inverse head and shoulders, right? We have our left shoulder, our head, and our right shoulder, right? So this level, once we break that, we should test 780. Oh, you got in Tesla before market close? I like that entry actually. It's a good risk to reward, right? So if this falls down, you're going to want to take your stop loss or cut your position, right? Probably below here, as if it falls below this level, it's probably going to test this trend line again. But then if it breaks this 765 level, right, we're probably going to see a nice big green candle, something like this candle, and we'll shoot up to around 780. Something else I'm watching is apps, right? So this is on the 1 hour. We have right this major resistance point. We had that nice big green candle, and now we're testing this resistance right here, right? So we failed. This is a pretty significant level here. Multiple touches across the board. So if we can get over, let's just make it simple, 67.50. We should see a nice move to the upside. And take a look at the daily. I really like the daily on apps. Right, so massive falling wedge. Right here's our flag with we kind of have a bull flag here, bull flag breakout outside of this channel. So if we can continue to break through that 67 level, just to make it simple, we should continue to see some upward momentum. Right here, we have that 821 EMA cross. So definitely watching this for continuation this week. 5-day chart probably looks nice. Okay, yeah, so here's the 5-day chart. Take a look at the MACD. That looks beautiful. Let's take a look at the fib. So from the low to the high, just to see where we reverse, probably around, yeah, right around the 0.5. Right, so generally a falling wedge pulls back to the 0.5 or the 618. And in this case, it did perfectly. That's a beautiful chart. So definitely put this on your watch list the next week or two. Nvidia, another one that we're watching. Another smaller falling wedge. We did reject that upper trend line again, and we pulled back down to the bottom here, but I'm not worried until I'll be aggressive on this until this trend again becomes red, right? So we're pulling back to the EMA. So hopefully we see some buyers come back in right at this bottom trend line here. Let's take a look at the fib. Right, always see where we're at on the fibs. Right in between the 236. So if it can't reclaim that 236, it's possible that we could test this bottom trend line, and maybe do a little fake out before a breakout to the upside. Yep, I could chart W day and CRM for you. I'm just going to quickly go through these tickers. That way you guys can carry on with your Sunday. GameStop definitely watching this. If it catches on, it's going to catch on. It's going to rip. And I do like how we we bounced off this trend line right here, right? So we had one bounce, two bounce, then we bounced again. We saw some big momentum back to the upside. Now we pulled back a little bit to the EMAs and we're consolidating. So this looks ready to rip. Either it's going to retest this trend line, or if we can break over, right? If we can break over that candle, 231, which we're at 204 right now, so that would be a nice move over, first of all. My first entry point's around 217, which is this candle right here. But over 217, if we could test 231.44, I mean, I think we could potentially test around 300 plus. Right? It will probably catch on. We'll probably see a major rip. So definitely watching this. Yep. Chase, it goes to show you how many people are willing to put in the work, right? I mean, these streams aren't fun. It's definitely, I definitely don't have a fun stream, but you know, it's informative, and you got to put in the time if you want to, you know, be successful. But hopefully everyone goes back and watches it on my channel as these are posted. Right, every single stream I do is posted on my YouTube channel for you guys to just go over and watch. But definitely watching GameStop this week. I like how we're consolidating and we're riding this EMA in a slight uptrend here. So definitely watching this week. Below 195, I think we'll test that bottom trend line, right? Because this old resistance point, if we fall back below that, I think we'll test this level here. Workhorse, yep, I will cover that also. Um, Clove, CLOV, or Clover. Um, this is kind of getting interesting here, right? So we have this trend line here, one resistance, two. We broke through and we saw some big momentum, but we pulled back when we tested this previous support level, right? You see how that rejected perfectly. Definitely like how we kind of have a rounded bottom here. And it looks like we kind of want to switch to bullish here. So definitely watching this. I mean, Clover usually has a pretty high short interest. So if this can catch on, I think we should see some big momentum. Right, I like this rounded bottom and this nice green candle here. Another one that could potentially squeeze is Root. I like how it's testing this bottom trend line. We bounced off pretty nicely. We did reject that top trend line though, so if we can break over, we need 683 to see a nice move. But if this can break over, we should see a nice squeeze. These are definitely risky plays. All right, Clover and Root, risky plays, high risk, high reward. This would be a quick scalp. Amazon, what a candle off that 382 level. Right, so we have this old resistance. This old resistance worked perfectly, right? So we bounced right off of it. And it kind of looks like we have an inverse head and shoulders a little bit. Yeah, so we have our left shoulder, our head, and now our right shoulder. So if we can get over 3497, which is this resistance point right here, right? Resistance, it was an old support. So I hope you guys see how that works. If we can break over this level, I think we'll test around 3550, 3554 at least. So definitely watching this. I do like this inverse head and shoulders on the smaller time frame. We're on the 30-minute, but it looks pretty good. Definitely watching this. Okay, let's continue. Riot, another one that we're watching. I like how we're consolidating after a nice dip. We're starting to move sideways. It looks like a potential bottom might be in, right? We're on this trend line here. We're a little oversold. I feel like people aren't looking at this any longer, right? So potentially a rounded bottom here and a move back to the upside to test this upper trend line. I'm going to cover this because I know everyone likes AMD. After seeing a big drop, we're sitting right at this 382 level, right? So we have one bottom here, we have another bottom here. So potentially we can reverse right around this region. But if we do drop below that 102 level, if it drops below 100, I think we'll test 95. We'll probably test 95. But it needs to hold over this 102 level, and potentially, right, play this upper trend line for a breakout. FSLY, I really like this on the daily. Right, take a look, or even the 5-day. This could be a longer term swing, but this is the weekly chart. Right, we're oversold. We just had that MACD cross. We had a falling wedge. We broke out, and now we're consolidating right before a potential move to the upside. So if we can break over around 48.23, I think we should this should trigger a move, probably to test this candle. And if we can break 58, we should see 64. Right, this candle right here. So ultimately, that's probably the price target. If we can break over 48, we should see a move to 64. Yep, I can go over SPY. Whatever you guys want to see, I'll cover. Moderna. Right, so first of all, take a look at this daily candle. Extremely strong. All right, we tested around 407, and we had a huge bounce back to 430. Right, so a $20 move off the lows on that single daily candle, right? Which kind of was expected, right? Because we had a major resistance point right here. So you can see how this resistance turned into a major support. Let's go in the smaller time frame. Right, so on the smaller time frame, we have our flagpole and a falling wedge. So definitely watching this over this pink trend line. Right, this will make for a nice play. This could be a wave 2, but wave 2s aren't triangles. So this can either be a wave 4, right? Let's say wave 3 would be here. Wave 4 bottom would be right here. But I don't like how it tested the high of wave 1. But my final target is 486. So I think if we break this trend line, we should test at least the top of this trend line, the top of this trend. 464 would be the first price target, and then over that is the 618, which is 486. Twitter bounced. It couldn't have bounced any more perfect. Right, so here's the trend line. Here's the overall chart. From the lows, right, we bounced right here, and we basically bounced right off of that trend line. Close enough. Doesn't need to be perfect. But look at this falling wedge. So we bounced right off the low, and the 618 from the swing low to the swing high, we bounced perfectly. Whoops. We bounced perfectly off that 618. So extremely nice chart. There was some great flow. We have an inverse head and shoulders as well, right? Left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. I think if we can break over, if we can just break out of this falling wedge, and we'll easily test this upper white trend line, and then test 73, and potentially start to see a huge move to new highs. So definitely watching this. Hood, that was a nice play last week. A quick scalp that we had. Massive falling wedge. right? We had a little breakout. I can go over actually how I took this play last week. So, one, we were out of this trend line, right? We broke through, and then on the smaller time frame, this is exactly what I was looking at. So I saw that we broke out, and then we were let's see, I could probably do a little replay action here. Yep. So this is what I was looking at. This is exactly what I was looking at. So we broke out. We had this resistance point, and as soon as I broke the price broke this white trend line, I took a position right over here, and I wanted to test 41.5. And if we closed over 41.5, right, we can definitely see some continuation. So let me hit the play. Make this a little faster. Right, so we broke through, took the position, retested, right, a little fake out, right, we held over. Let's see what happens. Boom, tested that 41.5 level. This is actually a really good exercise to go over. I should start to do this more replays. So I'm pretty sure I took some profits here. And let's see what happened. So look at that. So entered at the break, and we broke right through, right? So one, we broke through the daily resistance point, which was this pink trend line. Then we pulled back. We started flagging, right? Higher lows and lower highs. And then once we broke that trend line, we tested that high once again and broke right through. And let's see what happened. Yep. So we saw that move, and now it's coming back down for the retest, right? So this resistance point is going to act as a new support. And I have this pink trend line here, right? From the lows, we have 1 bounce, 2 bounce, and 3 bounce. So this is an area of confluence, just meaning, right, there's multiple supports in this region. So likely it's going to retest. Yep. So look how that candle bounced perfectly off of this level. Click play again. Right. So now we have 3 candles that bottomed out here. This is on the 15-minute chart as well. So likely, if this holds, we should start to see it move back to the upside. So this would be a great place to add back in. Let's click play again. Right. So now it's testing this resistance point one more time. There we go. Right. So now we have 3 candles that tested this level before breaking out to the upside, right? So buyers are waiting to step in for that break. I'm sure there was some nice flow at the break here, which I'm pretty sure there was because we entered again. And then it took out that level, and it basically hit that 42.5 level perfectly, right before coming back down. So again, tested this level one more time, broke through, basically hit our price target, right? Fell right below. Buyers couldn't step in to break through that level. And now it wants to retest once again, right? So this old resistance is going to act as a new support. Let's see how it played out. So pulled back to the EMAs, and it wants a retest. Should hold there. Right before moving higher again. Take a look at the MACD also, right? Oversold. We started to get that cross right here. Pulled back to the EMAs. We saw the move. Some people were taking profits. Buyers stepped in again right off the EMAs, and boom, triggered right to that old resistance level. Let's see if we broke through. I don't remember. So look at that. Look at that. So rejected, um, basically perfectly, right? People got this is now where people got faked out, pulled right below. Now it's you see how it's moving right below the resistance level. This is actually really interesting. We should definitely cover this more. Do you guys like this? Let's see some comments if you want me to start doing this more often. You could see how it's sitting right at this previous resistance, right? It wants over. Now it's kind of flagging here, right? So this is the current price actually. Um, so I kind of like this setup here, right? We have this resistance point. We're kind of flagging a little bit. Um, this looks good. Right? So if we don't break over this upper trend line, possibly we can retest right in this region before moving higher. That was a really good example of how price moves. Perfect. All right, I'm glad you enjoyed that. We'll definitely do that more often. I'm gonna start to pick out examples, or we'll do that with each of my plays that I alert. So anytime So we'll cover going forward all my plays. I think that's a great exercise. One so every week um we'll cover setups going into the next week, and then we'll also do a breakdown analysis of the trades that I took, what I saw, my mindset behind it, and we'll do that replay feature. That's extremely helpful, I think, to see um, my mindset going into each play. Awesome. I'm glad you guys like that. I don't think anyone does that also. I don't think I've seen anyone do that before with the replay feature. That was awesome. Um but moving forward, PayPal kind of have a falling wedge here. Um right, if we zoom out, multiple times we've tested this pink trend line, right? So likely if this doesn't hold, we'll see a big drop. Um but I'd like to see a nice a reversal here. Let's check out the daily. So MACD isn't looking too good. Um, but if we can get a bounce on tech, definitely watching PayPal because another falling wedge, right? So we had a falling wedge, we broke out to the upside, and then here we go with another falling wedge back to the trend line, right? So a retest. So potentially could see a move back to the highs. I mean, DraftKings looks beautiful. We had that inverse head and shoulders. What do you mean, my setup, Chase? Do you mean like the indicators I use and stuff, or what do you mean by that? But definitely watching DraftKings this week. Um, this pink trend line, right? So we held right here. We bounced off perfectly. EMA is pulled back, and now we kind of have a rounded bottom here, and it looks like this was a wave four, a little pullback to the 236, right? So from the swing low to the swing high, we're right around the 236. We found a reversal point. But if we do fall down below, this old resistance point will act as a new support. So 56, need to hold above 56 to be bullish. But I'm definitely watching this for continuation. My final price target is 73. And then last ticker I am watching for this week, for now at least, is Target. I mean, look at this chart. That looks like money. I know there was some massive flow. Let's see. So look at this flow. This is just on Friday. Let's see. Let me clear and now do target. Yeah. So this was all before close. Look at these repeat sweeps. Right? So I don't have any filters on except out of the money calls. 1217, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate sweeps, all at separate times, all bullish, right? So they were all in the ask with massive orders, right? 1,000,000, 400,000, 160,000, 360,000, about 400,000 in 260 calls, right? All odd lot contracts, meaning, right? So, for example, this is a planned trade, right? So someone wanted 400 contracts. This was a planned trade, right? They put their order in and they waited to be filled. But in this case, these people or whoever bought, whoever sweeped these calls wanted as many contracts as possible, right? So 1543, 252, right? It's odd numbers. Someone wanted as many contracts as possible with a lot of money on the line. So definitely watching this over 247.70 or this candle, right? 248.53. But 247.70 is this previous resistance point, which rejected. So definitely watching this going into this week. Let's see what the smaller time frame looks like. Right, so this resistance point rejected, right? So we had a fake out, and it kind of looks like we have a little flag going here for us. I like how this bottom region right here was bought out multiple times, right here. So this area is acting as a support, right? Buyers have stepped in big time at this level. So it needs to hold above this region if it can, and we can break this white trend line. I think the first trigger, right, I'll buy a starter position right at 247.70, and I'll add more at the test of this level. Yeah, I could definitely do a breakdown of everything I use. Absolutely. So SPY one more time for whoever asked. Forgot who asked. NDN asked, am I worried about the VIX? No. The VIX is just constantly all over the place. I'll watch that during market hours. But SPY, overall uptrend, nothing to be worried about until the weekly time frame cloud turns red. Right? So until we see some red again up here is when I'll stop being as aggressive. But overall, we're in an uptrend. Square was asked multiple times. Let's check out Square. So yeah, so I didn't add it to my watch list this week because this trend line, right? We fell through and now we're retesting. So if we can't break above this white trend line, if we reject here and see some more downside, I'll be extremely bearish. Other than that, I don't see anything that looks too hot here, right? Bullish MACD, that's about it. Let's check out BA. So yeah, Boeing again. I haven't looked at this in a bit, but this bottom trend line is holding very, very well. This is a daily. Look at the consolidation off the bottom trend line. If this can break over, right, the highs of one of these candles around 216.61, it should trigger a move back to this resistance point around 223, 224. And then if it can break that level, right, we should test this upper trend line right around 230. But if it falls below around 209, 210, definitely bearish. Workhorse, someone wanted to see. I got like 5 more minutes left. Just got to run some errands. Workhorse, I mean, you know, it has this channel, but this isn't really a falling wedge. It's too extended for me. Meaning, right, if the falling wedge ended right here, I would like it, but I don't like how
The falling wedge is down to this, basically the bottom here. I mean, it could work, right? If it breaks over this white trend line, it could definitely trigger a move back to 1061. Um, but I don't really like this ticker. Take a look at the overall trend, right? It's just straight down. I don't like it whatsoever. Nike was asked multiple times. Let's delete the chart. Um, so this is the daily. There's no setup here, right? If you can't see a setup right when you look at it, then it's like you're trying to force something. Right? So you want to see a pattern as soon as you look at it, right? There's no falling wedge here. This is ugly price action. Um, there's also a massive gap to fill down here, which it could potentially be hungry to fill, right? So if it tests 150, there's a massive gap to fill to 134, 135. So that's an ugly chart. Pool. I haven't looked at this in a long time, um, but broke below this trend line, right? So we had multiple touches across the board, broke below. Um, I wouldn't buy in here until we test around 447, right? This previous resistance point was bought in, right? That level was bought as a new support right around here. So we can infer that we're going to find some support right around 447. Nike we just did, right? Yeah, Nike we just did. OXY. Delete the chart. Let's make a new one. Just see. So if you can't see a pattern right away, then it's not even worth looking at. So the first thing that I saw by looking at this chart is the inverse head and shoulders, right? We have the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder with a major resistance point right here. We broke through, we pulled back, we're retesting. So I do like this chart. Entry points right over that high of 2808. If this can break 2808, it should test this previous resistance point right in this region. Right in this region. Right, so we have one resistance point, we have another resistance point. So we can infer that if we break over 2808, we'll retest this 30 region right here. Right, just to make this clear for you guys, there's the left shoulder. Whoops. There's the head. And there's the right shoulder. So that's a perfect example of what you should be looking for. Right? Usually inverse head and shoulders bounce off the 0.5. Let's see. Yep. So another perfect example. Right shoulder bounce off the 0.5. This is a major buy, right? It's also higher than the left shoulder, meaning, right, left shoulder bottomed at 2389 and the right shoulder bottomed right off the 0.5, which was above this level. So that would be a strong buy right here. Order blocks and imbalances, no. Like dark pool flow and that stuff, I kind of find it pretty irrelevant because you don't know if it's a buy or a sell. You can use it as a support and resistance level, but it's just extra, right? I mean, I just don't find it significant whatsoever. I'd rather trade off options flow, right? This is way more important to me. Options flow with a good setup and yeah, options flow and technical analysis is really all you need. Support, resistance, and options flow. Oh, you're in pool. Yeah, I mean pool just like looks like it's going for a swim down to 447. That was a pretty good line that I just said. Hope you like that. Um, looks like it wants to skinny dip back down to 447. Sorry, William, but hope you don't hate me for saying that. But it doesn't look too good unless it can break. I guess it needs back over that level. All right, 477. FDX. I haven't looked at these in so long. Wow. Okay, so I haven't charted this in forever. Um, I had this trend line here, right? So one touch, two touch. Um, and from this swing low to that swing high, we're right over the 786. So likely we can see a bounce here. But if it doesn't bounce here, I mean, this really isn't too good of a setup. The only thing it has going for it is this bank trend line. Right? I mean, you could play the break of that. Right? That I like. So if it breaks above this white trend line, um, you like that pun? That was a pretty good pun. Um, let's check out the options flow on it. So clear pool. So basically nothing. One bullish trade, a pretty far. This is probably a long time ago though. Let's check out the historical so we could see when it was. Okay, so this was taken a long time ago. This was taken back in April, but this was traded a 9:15. So this was traded last week. Um, someone sold their 10:15 5:10 call. So there's basically no flow on this. Pretty weak. Yeah, target looks good. Um, yeah, I mean that's really it. I really like that exercise we did on Hood. So if you want, you can go back and take a look at it again. Right, you could rewind. But we're gonna start to do that going forward. I'm gonna start to go over my plays. What else did I alert this week? Let me see. Oh, we did Smile Direct Club. Can I see what time I alerted it? No, I can't see. That was a great play though. But I'm gonna start to cover those next week. All right, guys. So that's it for the stream. If you want to see any specific charts, um, actually, before we end, look at this flag. Right, this is Smile Direct Club. We had that massive move to the upside, and now we're getting tighter and tighter. Right? Higher lows, lower highs, results in a big move. So could definitely watch this going into the next week. Take a look at that chart. Looks pretty good. Add that to the watch list. We'll do one more chart. So first thing that I see is that break, right? That's bullish, right? So we have one low here. We had a low here. This was a higher low, right? So we had the low around 1239. The next one around 1260. So a higher low was put in before that move up. On the daily, we have an 821 EMA cross, and this white trend line we broke through. So it's bullish. Definitely like this, right? Needs to hold over that high, which is 1337. Next level to test is that resistance point of 1362. So it needs over 1362 and needs to hold over 1337. But I like that chart also. I don't really like to play forward. It moves pretty slow. Option contracts, I don't know. I've just never played with it too much. Tesla's my baby. Contracts move great. And Amazon. Amazon's great to play options on. And AMD. I mean, a lot of the big names are great. Target's a pretty slow mover. Um, but yeah, that's really it, guys. If you have any questions, ping me in the Discord, and I'll get back to you. All right. So everyone enjoy their Sunday. Football starting soon. Um, Brutal game for the Giants the other day. That was hard to watch. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. I will see you tomorrow.